Well, hello, YouTube. It's your boy, and I was about to go to bed, but all of a sudden, I had this visceral urge to talk about the new Darktide game mode, the Expeditions game mode. It's been in the game for about 3 weeks now. That's how long we've had this update, and I'm basically just going to give my kind of freeform thoughts on what it's all about. I was recording this video, just in the hub, but the NPCs kept talking and interrupting me, so I got mad at them, and I moved here to the, Psychanium, where I can run around in circles as I talk. So, the Expeditions game mode was added to Darktide on March 17th, and basically the entire idea of it is that you venture outside of the hive, and what this game mode actually entails is you are going out into the scavenge zones in order to collect tech remnants and scrap. Tech remnants is basically the main form of loot in this game mode. You gotta make it out of there with as much tech remnants as possible, and scrap is what's used to trade with the Deadsiders, who reside within sanctuaries that you enter at the end of each stage. Typically, these expeditions have 3 stages, each consisting of a very massive level, where you run around and you collect scrap and you go to different locations of noteworthiness, and you basically do mini games like you would at kind of like the special stages of Mortis Trials, where sometimes, oh, you gotta follow a servo skull, or sometimes you gotta find batteries, or sometimes you gotta do hacking minigames. Really just a bunch of stuff like that. So, what I want to start with, I guess, what I want to start this off with is the things that I like about the game mode, because we can't just jump straight into it with all of the negative thoughts that I have about the game mode, because then, you know, what's the point? Let's just focus on the good first, you know? Good news first, right, guys? So what do I like about this game mode? I think that the map that they have made for this game mode is very excellent. I think my favorite part about the whole thing is just running around and looking at the environment. And it is a very big map, I should say that. And I believe that it is kind of random in how it's organized. Like, I think it's segmented. And I could be completely wrong about this, but I think there are different segments that kind of link up with each other. So you could have, in one instance of an expedition, oh, this node is hooked up with this node, or in another, that node is hooked up with that node. Of course, it is kind of hard to distinguish very samey sort of desert tiling, so I could be completely wrong here. Either way, I do really like the map that they made. It's very big, it feels very different from how Darktide normally plays, how they have a bunch of enclosed spaces and corridors, but this is nice and open. It's a different way to play the game, really, is what it is, which it is a game mode off to the side, so it makes sense. I especially liked running around at night. I think the map at night looks very pretty. But, off the top of my head, the map looking pretty is... that's one of the nicest things I have to say about this game mode, because, let me be honest, I'm not exactly, impartial to this game mode. I'm trying to find some notes on my computer, but I can't find them, so fuck it, we ball, I guess. One of my biggest gripes with this game mode is that there isn't actually any incentive for you to play on a higher difficulty other than the fact that it's more challenging. And let me elaborate on that a little bit. So, in any other game mode in Darktide, what the main objective is to kill everything in the level, get out alive, and collect all those crafting materials. Now, if you're familiar with Darktide like I am, you would know that, well, the crafting materials are basically one of the only things that you can actually collect within a level. Martyr skulls and those little heretical idols that are found in normal levels, those both reward plasteel, and those are really the only findables that they have in levels. Unless, of course, you're playing in a game that has tomes or grimoires for you to pick up, but that barely counts. And, of course, the higher the difficulty that you play on, the more of these rewards that you get at the end. Just because there are more of them found within the level. Expeditions, and again, also with Havoc. You go up in Havoc ranks, you get all the way to 40, obviously you're going to get a much bigger reward at the end of the week than you would if you only got to, like, 5. It makes sense. You give a bigger reward for better play. The problem with Expeditions is that the techno scrap is the main thing that you're going into the level and collecting. What's interesting about the techno scrap, though, is that I played a couple games on the default alpha node, on both Auric difficulty and Malice difficulty, and what I found is that both of those game modes basically, both those difficulties, I mean, reward the same amount of techno scrap. So, really what the most advantageous thing to do here is if you just want to blast through this game mode and get everything for it done and never touch it again, isn't even to play on Auric, it's to play on the lowest difficulty. Because there's less shit to kill and therefore less shit in your way. You can just sprint to every single objective, get it all done, barely having to fight anything, and making it to the next level completely unscathed. But you might be asking yourself, well, what about the penances? Well, I can show you the penances right now. They are in, I believe, missions, and then you scroll all the way down to expeditions. Now, I have only played... Look, I haven't grinded this out because, look at this. 250,000 total tech remnants. 100,000 salvage. Mind you, I've played this game mode for maybe, I don't know, 30-ish hours, probably more than that. And that is how much of the Pro Trader penance I have gotten done. And I just have this sneaking suspicion in the back of my mind that they're gonna nerf the requirements for this. I absolutely feel that, because if you guys remember classic Darktide, basically when it like first released, there was this penance for Psyker that was like killing this one. Kill a monstrosity after damaging 50% of its health with your brain burst or brain rupture. I did this one completely legitimately with the 100% damage thing. but they nerfed it down to 50%. And where's my purple heart? I didn't fucking get one. So I absolutely believe that they are going to nerf the requirements for this into the ground, because I think they severely overestimated how much this game mode would actually hold people's interests. Like, oh yeah, this is another weird thing about this game mode. There are 8 points on the grid. There are 8 different kinds of missions with their own modifiers. This penance goes up to 18. So what I would have to assume that means is that in the future they plan to add more nodes to this, which I gotta be honest, I'm not really sure if I would be interested in playing those, because it is a very boring game mode. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. This game mode is very repetitive. You go to each level and you do the exact same thing, which is running around, collecting garbage, and doing these special locations with their own objectives. Occasionally fighting stuff. I have soloed these missions on orc difficulty a couple times, and it really isn't anything, I didn't really break a sweat. Which, I'm pretty good at this game, so I don't know, maybe other people will have more difficulty. But what about the special equipment, the special grenades that they have, and medical kits and whatever else have you? I gotta be honest, I don't think they actually play tested their own game mode, because all that scrap that you collect that I had mentioned before, you're typically gonna be buying these special pieces of equipment with it, which can help you, question mark. So one of the best, and I mean like absolute best things to buy in this game mode is the proximity mines. And to explain what the proximity mines are, the proximity mine, you throw it down, and it can activate multiple times. And I think they only really activate when, like, elites or specialists walk over them. And there's one that spews a bunch of fire all over the ground. There's one that makes a bunch of electricity go across the ground. And there's one that releases a bunch of grenades. Kind of like the Ogren's grenade box. So let me ask you something. Would you rather have an Arbidi shock mine that can be activated 4 times in total, lasting about, I don't know, a minute? Or would you rather have a one-time use mortar strike, which, if you aim it well enough, kills maybe a couple crushers? Because this is the question that I asked myself, and I found the answer to be... I found the answer to be the former is the best equipment in the game. I'm not even fucking joking. Like, they have a health kit that basically acts as a shield generator. It basically just puts a psyker bubble on the ground. They have a grenade that calls a Valkyrie onto your location and assists you by killing enemies, which sounded really cool. When I saw that in the little scavenger shop, I was like, oh man, that looks really cool. I wonder what it does. It didn't really work that well, I gotta be honest. I threw it down, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited for the plane to show up, and it never did. In the area that I threw the beacon down, anyways, and I was looking around, and I was like, well, where the hell is my backup? And then I saw it like hovering over some different area, shooting at like box walkers, and I was like, okay, well, great, that's cool. So I could either have this beacon, which costs 150 scrap, to not even guarantee it to show up where I throw the beacon, or I could pay half that price for a proximity mine, which can activate 4 times and just kills everything around it. So, for all the time that I had spent playing the game mode, I was basically only buying the proximity mines, which I would have to assume are meant to be a kind of inferior, lesser version of the other pieces of equipment available, which they aren't. They're just better. But, again, it is the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And the fact that the equipment, most of it was very lackluster, didn't help that either, because I was buying the same things every single time. It isn't like Mortis Trials where you go in and you only have some semblance of an idea of what you're gonna get. It's like, excuse me. When I go into Mortis Trials, I get like 3 options for my character. Like, oh, am I the fire guy? Am I the electric guy? Am I the crit guy? And then I don't know if I'm gonna get the the mods that I want, which, it's a little bit of a bummer when you don't get that 20-second grenade refresh, but that's what makes the game mode interesting, I feel, is the fact that you don't really know what you're gonna get, ever. In regards to your player, anyways, the waves are actually very predictable. I know exactly when all those Poxbursters spawn, and then I just stand in a corner and shove the entire wave, basically. But yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts that I have on it, really, off the top of my head. The fact that the game mode is so repetitive, and the fact that there isn't actually any reward for playing on higher difficulties, which I don't think I elaborated on that enough, actually, so let's go back to that real quick. The penances. None of them are related to difficulty. Starting this again because I didn't realize that my up and down arrow keys were start and stop recording. I guess I forgot about that. Whoops. But basically what I was saying is that the penances, they don't require you to play on a higher difficulty in order to actually get them done. So really what the most advantageous thing for you to do is to play as Hive Scum on the lowest difficulty possible. Pick Desperado for your movement speed, and then just run around the map, doing all of the things and collecting all of the scrap. And eventually, after maybe 100 or 200 soul-sucking hours, you will have 100% of the game mode, and there will be nothing else for you to do. I kind of, I gotta be honest, just, getting something off my chest. Not to throw any shade at these developers, because they are a talented team. very clearly. I mean, they made this game, and I love this game very much. But they have a very weird obsession with not making this game. Like, they made this game and its entire style, and, you go into a mission, and you do that mission, and that's it. That's the whole game. And that game was so fucking good. And then for no reason, they just decided to start making a bunch of side games within that game. It's like, oh, let's just make Havoc mode for fun. Oh, let's make Mortis Trials. Let's make Expeditions. Who gives a shit? I don't care about any of this garbage. I just want more of the game that I like playing. They put so much fucking effort into this game mode, and for nothing. Presumably, they would have been having to work on the map for this for basically an entire year, putting off basically everything else in order to make it happen. No new maps, no new missions, no new levels. We gotta dedicate all of our time to actually putting together the map for this new game mode that I am already bored of. All of that effort, and I would rather just play the regular game mode still. That is just so frustrating to me. Like, there really is no reason for this game mode to exist. And really, the thing that sort of irks me about it the most is that when it was first being whispered about, when it was first being talked about, I know that Mr. E made like a video on this saying like, oh, could this possibly be Darktide's own version of Chaos Wastes? And I was sitting there thinking, well, Chaos Wastes is a really good game mode. And you could say the same thing about Vermintide and how it's like, oh, side modes don't work. Lesson learned with Winds of Magic. But the thing is that they do. When they don't suck hot ass. Chaos Wastes is some of the most fun I have ever had in video games, ever. But I don't think that the Darktide team, for all of their good worth, just does not have the ability to make side games within their own game, which had a horrible fucking launch, which alienated a ton of people from it. And the only thing that I ever see about this game anywhere, whenever people are talking about it, is the fact that they do like it. They did like it when they played it. It's just the fact that the game never seems to get anything added to it whenever there's an update. They just keep building, like, mini games inside the main game. Just build the main game, for the love of God. Sorry if this turned into a little bit of a rant about just Darktide's developers just... I don't even know. Again, this was completely free form and spur of the moment. I'll upload it and maybe people will watch it. I don't know. I am tired though, and I'm just hoping that they do something at Skulls, because by God, do they desperately need to do something, at least.